Um, Yay, I'm so happy to have you. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming and joining me today. I am talking to nutrition on my blog this month, and I instantly thought of you. And I really, one of the reasons why I thought of you in particular is because I really like to bring my readers a non-judgmental perspective on things. So I like to sort of like not necessarily like do this or do that, but like here's just perspective. And I always feel like when I hang out with you, which thank you to Mentor Masterclass I get to do on a weekly basis, that's what you do. You give like a real non-judgmental approach to everything that you do. And so when it came to like, who could I interview for this, that just you totally popped into my mind first.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that. I appreciate you telling me that.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So you are a nutrition and holistic health coach. Is that correct? And studying to be a life coach.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And the co-creator of the Nourish to Flourish Society.
Yes.
Yes, which I'm excited to talk about later. And I was reading about it, and I loved it. It says a place for us to go to learn to love our body and our life, and eat, of course, because that's what we like to do.
Love to eat. Yeah.
Love to eat. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so the first question I have for you, I'd love for the listeners to get to know you a little bit, and what I really want to know is why you do what you do.
Oh, starting out with the why.
Yeah.
I have been playing around with this, as you know, in Mentor Masterclass this month, really thinking about my why. And so for me, what I'm realizing is that my why is all about, because I really want women, I want everybody, but definitely women to live really consciously when it comes to what we're putting into our bodies, what we're putting onto our bodies, how we're going through our day. Like, I just feel like when we live consciously, we're in creator mode and we get to create the life that we really want for ourselves. And so my why right now, it has to do with really having this passion for helping people live more consciously. Not that there's like one right way for all of us when it comes to eating or anything, but just really, tune in. Like, let's all like wake up and tune in and pay attention and make more conscious choices.
Oh my God, I love that. I think that's so hard to do sometimes. I feel like, and when it comes to food, I feel like sometimes I find myself eating foods that I don't really want. It's almost like I just do it to do it. Maybe it's a habit and then I feel bad after it. And then I might go into negative self-talk and in that sense, I imagine how it might affect my body, my mind, like just from the fact of eating something that I didn't really want.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? How important do you feel like self-talk is when it comes to eating and processing the food?
Like so important. So yeah. So this is one of the, I guess the main messages that I have for women is, definitely it's important to, what I call like the bump and balance. So when we're talking about just the nutrition piece, let's bump up the quality of our food, eat, the best quality food we can find and afford. Let's balance it with some, what I call powerful protein, friendly fat, colorful carbs. And that's different for all of us. But just as important, and sometimes even more important, I think at times, is how we eat and what's going on in our mind when we eat. And too often as women, we are, beating ourselves up. We're feeling badly. We're, we shouldn't have ate that, or, oh my gosh, now I have to start all over, or I just blew the diet, or whatever it is. And so when we're eating in that stressful state, because that is a stressful state, and when we're eating in that stressful state and we have the negative self-talk and we're not loving ourselves and we're not enjoying the food and we're not present, that impacts everything in terms of how we assimilate the food, how our bodies utilize the food. Like it just impacts the whole experience emotionally and physically. So I always work on myself. And also I talk with other women about, whatever you decide to do, so make a conscious choice. And sometimes your conscious choice is, hey, I'm going to wait and I'm going to get a better quality version of this thing that I want, right? And sometimes it's like, you know what, I'm just eating this right now because this is what I'm going to do and I feel like it and this is what I have and I deserve it, whatever. Just make the conscious choice. And once you've made the conscious choice, take a couple deep breaths and enjoy whatever it is and let it go. If it wasn't a choice that really serves you in terms of your health, or you don't think it does, like just take a deep breath, enjoy it, afterwards let it go, move on. There's no starting over, there's no failure, it's just feedback. You just keep going. It's a journey, right? You know this, Donna. Totally.
And I feel like what happens to me sometimes is it's not even like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to eat a bowl of ice cream. I'm going to enjoy it. And, you know, I'm not going to talk negatively about it, but it's almost like sometimes I go for things that I know that I don't really want. And I think that's the thing for me that's really hard. And then I'll eat it and be like, I can tell my body's like, you don't want this, you know? And then, but I just eat it anyways. And then I walk away and I'm like, shoot, I shouldn't have eaten that, you know? It's more like that.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying. So what comes up for me when you say that is that, you know, it's like, what is that? What is that really all about? Like usually you're going for a feeling, right? You're going for a feeling, or you're going for, maybe there's an association with a food, like from your past, or maybe, you know, I also think a lot of times, so I talk about this idea of expansion and contraction, where a lot of us are walking around really contracted, like we're stressed out all the time. We're running here and there. We're stressed out about a zillion different things. So we're really contracted. And so we're craving expansion. Like we're craving like a sigh, right? Just like letting go, some relaxation, some ease in our life. And sometimes I think that, you know, our body, the way that our bodies talk to us, sometimes it's through craving or through a desire, or it's like you're just all of a sudden eating something, or you decide to eat something you know isn't good for you, but it's really about, you're just trying to become more
something.
Yes, more of something. So whatever that feeling is, but generally I find with women, it's usually like more expansive, like some feeling feels like,
yes. I feel like it's when I know the negative emotion that's around it. I feel like it's when I'm bored. Like if I'm feeling bored and I'm like looking for something to do, then I might go for something that I don't necessarily want to eat. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at that. Yeah. So, what's an action that we could do? So what's an action for myself in this instance, because it's an example of myself that I could do, whether it's a negative, like whether if I'm going in to eat something that I didn't necessarily want, or something that I really did want, and both could have negative self-talk around it. What's one thing, and you kind of talked about this, but an action that we could do to sort of, and I think it's probably going to be the breath, but that we could do to really stop the negative self-talk, or to do it and then overcome it.
Yeah. I do think it's so much about the breath, because it's about being present and being conscious. I keep coming back to that idea of consciousness. It's really, I think, taking the deep breath in that moment, whether it's right before or if it happens to be during or after, you know, at some point, just like be aware and ask yourself, you know, hey, darling, what's this really all about? You know, what is this really all about? And you can ask yourself that before, during, or after. And it really starts with that piece of awareness, and just that introspection, and just kind of getting honest with yourself. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with changing behavior in that moment, because maybe you're not ready to do that. Maybe you don't want to do that. But if you're really aware and you become more aware and more reflective, that is a huge I don't want to say it's a step, but it's just really, it gives you more freedom. It gives you more space to do something different if you want to, or yes, like ready to.
I love that. Like, what's this about, darling? Like to even say that word to yourself, right? Because it's almost like very like fun. What is this about, darling? You know, like, I like that. I like the darling part of it. Because
I learned that from my colleague, Coach Jill Tannison. She's great at that. And so it's really something that I learned from her and I really appreciate. And I do find myself, like sometimes we have to mother ourselves, right? Or we have to just
That's what it feels like. It is like a mothering.
Yeah. Yes.
Like a mother asking her daughter, like, what's this about, darling? Oh,
yeah.
I like that. Oh, I'm totally going to use that. That's awesome. It also reminds me of like in that moment, almost like an asking of yourself will then bring an acceptance of the self. Right? Like you ask and then you're like, oh, okay, I accept that. And you're saying, not necessarily like we're going to change it in that moment, but quite possibly if we accept in that moment by asking ourselves that question, then later on it just starts the initiative of change is what it might seem like.
Yes, exactly. It stops being like a battle zone. Like so many of us are, in our heads around food, and like we're in this sort of battle in our heads about eating, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, what should I be doing, what shouldn't I be doing? And there's so much energy around it, and so when you take like a different stance, then you switch up the energy and you create like more of an ease and more of an openness and that spaciousness. I talk about in the work that I do, we talk about my colleague and I talk about cravings are your best friend. Like cravings are your best friends. So like really shifting, like so many women that I work with, are just like, oh, those evil cravings, like they control me. They like take over. Like I can't, like this fight, this battle. And so when you shift your perception and think of your cravings are your best friend, they're really just a way that your body communicates with you and your spirit communicates with you. And so when you start asking the question, like, what's this really about, darling? Or what's going on here? Like more of a stance of curiosity. You become more open to just like taking that deep breath, just being like curious. Eventually when you're ready, to make changes, it's a lot more easy to make the changes. And then the cravings are sort of your guide. Does that make sense?
Yes. But tell me more about the cravings being your guide.
Yeah.
So if I had a craving of like sugar and I might go for like some candy, how could I shift that if I'm realizing that like, okay, if cravings are my best friend, how do I shift to make them my best friend?
Okay. So let me talk a little bit for a minute about cravings. So cravings, there's different components involved with cravings. There's definitely like the nutritional, physical component, factors related to cravings. So sometimes we're like not eating enough protein. A lot of times we'll get sugar cravings, or we're not, there's something missing nutritionally. It could be like we're not getting enough magnesium and we might crave like chocolate or whatever it is, So there's that piece. So I always do think we have to deal with that. Like we can't just, only think that cravings are emotional or related to stress or things like that. So we have to deal with that piece. But then as you're doing that or after you kind of feel like, oh yeah, my diet's like really, it's pretty good. Like there's a lot of like really nutrient dense food. It's pretty balanced with, healthy fat and protein and healthy carbs. Then it's like, I'm still having cravings. What is this about? So a lot of times when you're craving something, and it doesn't necessarily matter if it's sweet or salty or crunchy or whatever. It's really about asking yourself, like, what's the feeling I'm going for? Like, what is the feeling that I really want to feel? What am I trying to satisfy here?
Okay.
And so sometimes when this is really interesting to me, what I found in my work is sometimes like as women, we're kind of like disconnected from our feelings. Like we're not really sure what feeling we're going for. Like, I don't really know what feeling I want.
Right.
Which is when we kind of talk about that expansive, like, so whatever the feeling is, it's probably like, you just want to feel like more open, more expansive, more happy, more joyful, like there's something. We're connected. So we just start throwing out feeling words. And it's like, yeah, a lot of times, so in the evening, evening cravings often have to do with emotional needs not being met. So
Mm.
afternoon cravings are often about physical stuff, nutritional stuff. And
Okay.
evening cravings are often about emotional stuff, stress related.
Okay.
So you get to the evening and you're craving, and all of a sudden you're like eating like, all kinds of stuff, and you're, in your mind, you're like, I should be doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this, or you're all that negative self-talk. So in that moment, if you're viewing your cravings as your best friend, it's about taking that breath, and it's about starting to ask the question, like, what is this really about? Like, what am I really craving here? Like, what do I really want? What's not being met for me in my life?
Mm.
Desire, what feeling? Sometimes it's connection, right? Sometimes it's connection with your partner, or connection in some way that you're just feeling like disconnected. Sometimes it's that there's just like all day long, you're responsible for everybody. Like if, especially as moms, a lot of times we're like responsible for everybody. And then if you're working inside the house, outside the house, it's nonstop. So sometimes you're just craving like, just like some me time, like some downtime, just total relaxation, right? Like no stress, no responsibility. Yeah. So it becomes kind of, it's like this, it's really just putting on this hat of like curiosity. And then because what happens is, if you just like a true best friend, not, like sometimes our friends like will sabotage us, or like,
Yes.
yeah. So like, but a true best friend, like if they're really concerned about you, they're gonna, find a way to talk to you about it. And they're gonna find a way to talk to you until you really like listen. Right. And so that if you view your cravings more like that, like the cravings are just trying to tell you something, like they're trying to get your attention and communicate something to you. And if you don't listen, they're going to talk louder. They're going to get louder. They're going to get louder. They're gonna get louder. So you're going to have more intense cravings. You're going to, emotionally just not feel well or healthy. You might have an illness, or like a disease, like which is like dis-ease, right? So
It's really so interesting, and it makes so much sense how emotional eating is, right? And how it is so much about our emotions. And it's one of those things that, I feel like we have so much self-judgment around, and it's something we need. We have to eat, we can't not eat, right?
yeah.
So it's, I agree with you in the sense that, that it's really hard for women to express their feelings. And I wonder, when you're asking yourself, what's this about? Like, what are you really craving? If you don't have the self-awareness around feelings, and you're not working with, like, say, a coach who's helping you work through that, how do you do that within yourself? Do you, like, what would be your way of helping people? Like, what would you say to people who don't have somebody outside helping them, that really need that own best friend to get them through, to understand their own feelings around the craving?
So I would start to talk about like what, so much of this is about pleasure, right? And feeling pleasure. And so I would start to look at like, where in your life do you feel pleasure? Like, what do you do that brings you pleasure? What do you do that when you're doing it, you kind of get lost doing it? Like, it just feels really good. Or what do you wish you were doing that you don't do? I had a client who, she loved to paint, but she like put it on the totally put it on the back burner because of all of her life's responsibilities. And what it came down to is, she wanted to, she really loved to paint. And so we really I talked to her about, if that brings you so much pleasure, then we need to find time. You need to find time to be able to do this on a consistent basis. So I would say, somebody's listening and they're not working with a coach, but they're really struggling with cravings. Definitely looking at, the nutritional stuff, making sure you're eating as high quality food as you can. Like, that's all really important. And there was a lot more we could talk about there.
Yes.
I would also say, look at, do you have like, what's bringing you pleasure in your life? Because if you're not experiencing pleasure on a consistent basis, that, you know, one of the ways that's going to come out is through your relationship with food. And so,
oh my God, I love that.
yeah, like adding some more pleasure. So you can, this is, it's called different people call it different things, but like a bliss list where you write down, you know, what are some non-food ways that you experience pleasure and comfort, and, you know, and so you might have like taking a hot bath with a candle, lighting a candle, going to a yoga class, maybe connecting with a friend, you know, that you don't give yourself permission to get on the phone for an hour, you know, a week to a girlfriend. Maybe it's a date night, like you have totally missed your spouse, you know, and you're not honoring that. So really like put like 5 or 10 things on your list. And some of them like things you could just do easily in the moment, like, you know, like go run a bath at night instead of like eating. Or some of them are like maybe need a little more, you know, preparation, but at least, you know, like, okay, I'm going to get a massage like Friday at 3. Like you have that to look forward to. It's going to like really relax you, and you're going to feel the pleasure if that's something you enjoy.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. And then talking about the biology part of it, like what's the best way to start to understand what it is your body needs in that sense? Because I can see how both are important, and you're saying both are important. So how do we then look at that piece? I know we could talk a lot about it, but like maybe just like, and people that are new to nutrition stuff, you know, that are like, this is the first time, like I'm really looking at it. What's the first step for that?
Yeah. Okay. So let me just share like a little analogy that I use, and I use it with preschoolers through adults because
awesome.
It's just really simple. So what if you need to go run some errands, and you have to jump in the car to run your errands, but your car's on empty, but you so don't want to spend the time, the money, the effort to go to the gas station, right? So you just pull the hose out from the side of the house because it's liquid and it comes out of a hose just like gasoline, right? And so you're like, okay, like this is where the little kids are like, okay, the car's gonna blow up. You know, the high school kids are like rolling their eyes at me like, really? I'm like, okay, but the point is like liquid, it comes out of a hose like gasoline, but it's not the right fuel for the car. So the car runs smoothly. So we're doing that like every day. Like we're like putting in, you know, food. It looks like food. It's from a grocery store, but it's not the right fuel for our body. So we're like spurting and sputtering. And so one of the ways we spurt and sputter is cravings. Like because our body is not actually getting at the cellular level, food is information. And it's fuel. And if your body's not getting the right information and the right fuel, it's going to keep asking for more because it's smart, right? Like I need more, I need nutrition, I need the information and fuel. So one of the things to think about is like, keep that analogy in mind. And when you're, whatever you want, whatever you crave, whatever you like start looking for the best quality of that thing. So when you pick up the package and you read the label, if it's in a package, ask yourself, okay, if I had the recipe for this, could I actually buy the ingredients at the grocery store or the farmer's market, or would I have to go to a lab and get the help of a scientist?
I love that.
It's like just like I call it a filtering question. Like that's the first question. Like, could I actually buy these ingredients somewhere, and make it myself if I had the recipe?
Yeah. So not those long ingredients that you have no idea how even to pronounce it.
Yeah. And your body has like no idea how to utilize those and what to do with them. So that's when we start getting into trouble. So that's like a first thing is like, just start being aware again, like being more conscious about what it is you're buying, what's in those things. And then it becomes like levels, or it's like a continuum in terms of quality, right? Like none of us eat a perfect diet. We can certainly move away from fake food towards real food. I call the middle like bridging foods. Like they're foods that aren't perfect. They're like better than the fake stuff, but they're not as ideal as
the real stuff.
So that's what, like, thinking about that first, like quality is really like where I start with people. And then the second part, that's called the bump for me, like bump up the quality. And then the next part is balance. Like we all need different degrees or different levels of protein, healthy fat, and healthy carbs. And so then, but what I do find for women, when I do like my 14-day cleanse programs, and sometimes at the end of 14 days, excuse me, the craving, like I can't believe the testimonials. I love it. Like my cravings are like gone in 14 days. And it's the way that we're nourishing your body with real food, but also making sure that you are eating enough protein and fat, especially in the early part of the day. That often impacts like cravings. So having a good, so many women are eating just really like carby and grain, a lot of grain-based carbs early in the day. And it totally sets you up for
like bagels and toast.
Bagels, toast, cereals, sugary drinks,
right?
So you're kind of like setting yourself up for a day of, not like bad energy and intense cravings. So it's really about figuring out like one quality, but then just make like one change at a time. Like if you're a total grain-based person in the morning for breakfast, like the bagel, the cereal, the whatever, or you don't eat breakfast, I say, then just like focus on breakfast. Like just make some changes to your breakfast, even if you do it 3 days a week. Like if you're like, I can't give up my bagels every day,
Right.
So 3 days a week, like have something that has more protein. Like, so for me, we eat animal protein. So for me, that might be like eggs, or I'll eat like sausage. Like I get my stuff from a farm, a local farm. So I'll eat like a turkey sausage patty and maybe a smoothie that has some healthy fat in it. So I try to kind of front load my day with really good nutrient dense food that has more protein and fat.
And what if you're a non-meat eater? What would you put in place of the eggs and the sausage?
So I would say that I will go on record to say like I am a big proponent of animal protein, like good quality. But I also respect if somebody, chooses not to eat animal protein. So if you're not eating meat, but you're eating eggs, pastured eggs, I think are really great, right? But if you're not eating eggs, then I would say really pay attention to, you can use nut butters like raw almond butter, any kind of like the raw almond, raw nut or seed butters, but coconut milk is smoothies with like coconut milk so that you have good fat. And then there's some different, good sources of non-animal based proteins. Like I'm not a huge fan of protein powders, but I know there's some good ones out there, like some good quality ones that you can get that are totally, and they're not grain based either. So
awesome.
You can put some of that in.
Ooh, I'd love to know what those are. Well, maybe we can put a link. You can tell me what they are later, and I'll put a link to them. Because I think
I have a couple that I really like. So, and so, and the other thing, I think women avoid fat, and we need a really good amount of friendly fat. So animal sources are not.
Totally. And so if we're eating animal protein, is there a lot of fat in that, or is this like on top of the animal protein?
Yeah. So if it's grass fed, if you have like grass fed meats and poultry and eggs, and if you have dairy and it's grass fed, you get a good amount of friendly fat in that, and a really healthy kind. And then also on top of that, I usually, looking at like avocados and nuts and seeds, avocado oil, coconut oil. I just was thinking of something else and it went out of my head, so it'll come back to me. But even grass-fed butter, if you do dairy or ghee, like ghee, clarified butter, right? So ghee is super healthy fat, and you get a lot of fat-soluble vitamins that we're often missing. So I always suggest play around with that, and how you'll know if you're kind of in a good range for you in terms of how much fat and protein is. If you can go like 3 to 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours without feeling hungry, then you are probably doing really well, because what's happening is your body is being fueled by what you ate, but then it's also able to tap into what's stored, like the stored energy, which is your fat stores, right? Like we're like so brilliantly designed that we eat and we use what we need right away, and then we store it. the problem is that we eat so frequently, or we eat so many grains and sugars that our bodies are really confused. So we are storing it, but we're not like releasing it and using it again.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to this. I feel like I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours and hours. I think one of the things that I do when I'm listening to, and this is personal, I don't know about the listeners, but I actually eat really healthy, but I don't, and I know this about myself, and I've been thinking a lot about this. I don't think that I'm very good at like enough, the amount of protein and the amount of fat and the amount of the carbs. And like, I'm not very good at managing that.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty good at managing like what does my body want, you know, except for the times that I eat out of boredom. But most of the time it's like, you know, I know what my body wants, and I'm pretty good at like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, I'm good at that. But like that piece of managing like all the places, that's the part that I'm at a loss. Like I don't think I'm really good at that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I understand. So I'm not a fan of like overthinking it. Like I'm really a fan of like, I want you to tune into your body. So what I see in my practice, I've been practicing with health coaching for about 12 years now. And what I have learned, it's really so interesting, is like, we're not designed to like eat all the time. Like this like eating 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. There's a lot of different factors, right? It's kind of in response to our blood sugar issues, because we have a lot of blood sugar issues because of the way we eat, right? And it's because so many of us, we have a lot of access to food. Not everybody, but a lot of people have a lot of access to food all the time.
Totally. Right.
So it's like, oh, I think I'll eat again. Oh, I think I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not hungry, but that sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just open up the refrigerator and look at it. And then shut it.
Yeah, I totally get it. And also my experience, like I'm a total recovering sugar addict. So I used to be like carb crazy, like, I didn't put on weight. So I had the mistaken belief, like I can eat anything.
Right.
And everybody's like, you're so lucky. Well, for me, it played out like I ended up with a bunch of other health issues. Like my hormones were a mess. I struggled with depression. Like it was kind of crazy. Right. And so I started playing around with my diet, and I started noticing some improvements, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe the Mountain Dew every day is not a good idea. Right.
And the bagel.
Maybe that is why I have stomach aches every day. But then I was like, so then I
oh my God, Mountain Dew is so bad too. And it's like bright green. The color in itself is like, oh my gosh. Okay, go.
Somebody actually did say, maybe that's why I have stomach aches every day. And I was like, that's not true.
Not the green Mountain Dew, or the bright green, bright yellow, I guess it is.
Yeah. And then I gave it up as an experiment to prove them wrong. And they were
oh my God, I love that.
So then I was like, oh, light bulb moment, right? So, but then I went to this, like, I'm just hungry. Like, I'm like, really, I kept believing, like, I just have this super, like, fast, like, I burn food really fast, and I can eat, you know, even if I'm eating better stuff, I'm always hungry. And what I realized is, like, no, I just wasn't getting the right, like, proteins and carbs and stuff. So, like, I was not managing that. Like, I did not know how to manage it. So I would eat, like, maybe better quality stuff, but I was eating all the time. And so my digestive system was like working like nonstop, which is not great. It takes so much energy. So what I suggest is you start playing around with, you know, adding more protein and more fat. And you really want to see if you can go like 4 hours without feeling hungry. Now your mind might be like, oh my gosh, I have to eat. Oh my gosh, I need to eat something. It's like, you know, it's like 11 o'clock, but it's like that, like, okay, but I'm not really physically hungry. And when you get to that point, like women are amazed, like, oh my gosh, I went like 4.5 hours and I wasn't hungry. And they look back at what they ate, and they ate like what was more balanced, you know, in terms of they had more protein, they had a lot more fat, a lot more friendly fat, because usually like women are avoiding it like crazy. So I'm like, add some more avocado, add some more nuts, you know, add some more coconut oil, whatever it is. And that's like, when you, it's like, again, it's like being playful with it. Like, can I eat in a way that I'll get 4 hours?
Interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's one of my mentors who I love, Dr. John Douillard from Life Spa. He's an Ayurvedic doctor, and he really I started learning about this from him. The idea that, you know, even if you're eating, so especially if somebody is wanting to release weight, like they're holding on to extra weight.
I was going to ask you about that. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. So even if you're eating carrots, you're like, okay, I'm going to have a snack and it's carrots. There's hardly any calories in carrots. Or, you know, we say all these things, or I'm going to eat pretzels because pretzels are low fat. And it's like, but every single time you eat, then your body, it's like, you have to imagine your body, she's saying like, oh, I was going to like tap in and burn that fat you have, but I don't need to now because you just gave me fuel from the outside. So every time you eat, you're fueling your body. So then your body's not tapping into the stored fuel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It totally does. Yeah. Cause I was going to ask you about the, losing weight, because I know a lot of people are like, I want to do cleanses, or I want to, I feel like cleanses is a big deal right now. And, and I feel like it's a lot of times because I want to lose weight, and then like, maybe you do the cleanse and you lose weight, but then after you come out of the cleanse and you can tend to eat the way that you were going to eat. And then you gain back the weight really quickly.
I love, because I have some 14, I'm torn about the word cleanse. Like, it's a great word because people get an idea of what you're
understand.
Yeah, it's like there's some understanding. However, there's such a wide variety of cleanses. So like my 14 days cleanse it's a real food-based cleanse. Like, you're eating real food. The recipes are awesome. And there's some liquid days, but they're really nutrient dense liquid days. But I love it because I'll have sometimes women say, well, if I lose weight during the 14 days, am I going to gain it back? And I'm like, well, if you go back to doing what you did before, you probably
yes, you are. Yeah.
will. So my goal is, when I work with women, whether one-on-one or in a program, is I want you to have an experience so that you can feel like the power of food in your body, right? Physically, emotionally. And I want you to learn some things about yourself and about food, so that if you choose to keep going, like there's so many things you can keep doing. You don't have to do it all perfectly, but you can take some of the basics, principles, like eating like more friendly fat, right? You can take that and you can keep doing that on your own, no problem, right?
Right.
You can keep doing like where you don't snack, like you eat enough to put yourself into fat burning mode.
Yes.
You like
it's almost like the cleanse that you do in particular, which I love this, is not like, okay, let's cleanse for 14 days, but it's more like, let's learn to eat well in 14 days so that you can then carry it through for as much as possible in the rest of your life. Yeah,
yes, you caught me, Shauna. Yes. That's pretty much what it's about. It absolutely is a cleanse in the sense of, we're cutting out the processed food and we're cutting out some of the most antagonistic foods that people often have problems with. And yet it really is about what you're saying for me, like any kind of a eating program, a cleanse or anything. Sometimes I'm sure what I do feels like deprivation, but it's because it's like when you're in that transition from eating a really standard American diet or eating a certain like 6 or 7 times a day, like it might feel like deprivation, but then you realize, at least with the feedback that I receive, is like, wow, this food is so good. Like the recipes are really good. I didn't know this was healthy. So I love that. Or I didn't know that I could only eat 3 times a day and
be fine.
And actually I love it because I don't have to worry about like, what am I going to eat?
What am I going to eat? Right. Or what am I even going to eat at dinner? Like that. One of the things I love about cleanses is it's like all set up for me. I'm like, I've gone grocery shopping. I know I have all the right foods. I know exactly what I'm making every single day. And that to me creates so much ease. Because just the thought of like, what am I going to make tonight? What am I going to, and this actually goes into my next question, which I'm dying to ask you, and I have to get this one in, is how do I get my kids to eat more vegetables?
The $1 million question.
Oh, it is? It's a $1 million question. Yes.
No. So, all right. So when
I'll say really quickly, I love that this is the $1 million question, because honestly, it was like, this is my hand down personal question.
Yeah.
I love that this is going to help the listeners. I have a 6 and 9-year-old, and they eat some, but really nearly not as much as they should. And I just don't know how, like, I take credit for this because I don't put, part of it is this: if I put it on their plate and they don't eat it, then I'm like, oh, I'm wasting food. And there's like people in the world that need food. And like, that's a part of it. And then the other part of it is like, I get lazy, a little bit lazy with them. Like, here, just have this. It's fine. So yeah.
Yeah. And I would reframe it, because I doubt that it's laziness. You know, I doubt that it's laziness. I doubt that, it's like, it's
not laziness
hard.
actually, because I cook really well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not laziness.
We get kind of like worn down, right?
Yes. That's what it is. I don't want to hear about it as much.
It gives like more contraction in your life.
Yes, exactly. Like an argument or like a bit. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So we could do a whole another interview on this. I worked, like, my first part of my health coaching was really working with families and helping moms to make their family healthier. So, I mean, there's not like one quick answer. One thing is, our kids respond to us. So our job is to, definitely put out the food. So we do need to, if we want them to eat it more, we have to put it out, right? We have to put it out. I'm really a proponent of, like, you make the meal and you put it out, and that's the meal. Like, there's no separate meals.
That's what I do wrong.
Yeah, there's like no, because they're kids, right? They totally learn, like, in 2 seconds, like, oh, if I just like put up a little resistance,
I get my own food.
Yeah. So there is that phase where it's like, you kind of do have to like be willing to put up with the resistance, the arguing, the whatever. So let me think for a minute, because there's a lot I could say here.
Okay.
So our kids really do respond to us, and what I've seen happening over the last 10 years of working with moms is that we get worn down. It's like, you have to take a deep breath and you have to decide what your bottom lines are. So I call the bottom lines, like, I mean, they're kind of your non-negotiables, right? So for yourself, like for myself, and I have a bottom line is like, I don't drink pop anymore. The old Mountain Dew. Yeah. And I don't buy it. Like, I don't buy it for my kids. Like, I just don't bring it into the house. Like, that's a bottom line, right? So maybe a bottom line is that you're going to put at least one vegetable, if not 2, out every day, right? Mm-hmm. And a bottom line that we're all of us, the whole family, is going to take at least 2 bites.
I love that.
Because it takes, and some people aren't a proponent of this, but I am, because our taste buds have to be trained. Like, our taste buds have to be trained. So if kids, like, their taste buds are usually trained by food companies, and they're trained by the sugar and the chemicals. And so, like, our broccoli doesn't have a fighting chance, right?
No, broccoli for sure doesn't have a fighting chance.
So we have always, I have 16-year-old and 2 14-year-olds. And we've always said, I've tried to make it like all of us, because there's foods that I don't like, or my husband doesn't like, but like, we're all going to try at least 2 bites. And we're going to do that every time. So if I put down, I cannot believe my boys do not like sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. They eat,
even my kids like sweet potatoes.
Yeah, they eat anything, but they don't love sweet potatoes. But they would always try 2 bites, right? Mm-hmm. And so they'll eat them. There's not like a favorite thing, but that's okay. So to me, like, that's about training the taste buds. But you also, like, if your kids are already in this mode of like, mom's going to make me a separate meal, or I don't have to try it, you really kind of have to have a short, direct conversation with them about, hey, this is how we're doing things now, and this is from, starting on Friday, this is how it's going to go. And then you got to stick with it. So whatever you decide, you got to make sure it's manageable for you. So I say, like, start low, like, just make sure you can manage it. Okay. Like, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So putting it out, the 2-bite rule. Also, the good thing is with vegetables is they're actually we assimilate more nutrients if they're served with a fat. Mm-hmm. So like a friendly fat. So kids will, if kids eat like butter or a dressing or something, or, so they actually taste better, right?
Yes,
like, yes. better with like a little bit of.
Oh, that's good. I love you gave me permission for that because I totally put butter on my kids' vegetables.
Yes.
And I give them to them.
Butter and sea salt.
And sea salt. Those are the two things I do. And they're more interested in eating it when those two things are on it.
Yeah. So that it makes them taste better. So actually that's really helpful. And then also if you have kids, anybody who's listening, if you have kids that really at the table complain a lot, and I do a lot of talking with moms about we need to teach our kids how to be more respectful around the meals. And so we kind of just lose our way because we've been worn down, and then we start to accept like, well, I don't like that, or I'm not eating that, And so one of the things that has worked really well with moms of young kids and older kids is like put the menu on the refrigerator and say, hey, if there's something that we're having tonight, you've tried your 2 bites, you don't care for it, you can put the feedback on the on the chart on the refrigerator. You can put a smiley face, you can put a sad face, you can put yuck, you can write whatever you want.
I love that. Yeah. That's awesome. It kind of gives them some kind of control.
Yeah. And they can give you feedback, but it's not, it's teaching them like it's not acceptable. Like I work, we put the food on the table, we brought it, we prepared it, we're doing our job to give it to you, nutritious food to you. And you don't have to like everything. I don't like everything, but it's not okay to like complain about it. It's not okay.
Because my kids will be like, this is disgusting. And I'm like, that's so rude. And my husband's always like, don't say that, like that's not nice to your mom when she like prepared the food. So I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. It happens so much. And even it doesn't really happen with my kids anymore, but every once in a while, same thing. I'll be like, yeah, that's not acceptable. Like, no, that's not how you give feedback,
Right.
So I say,
take it to the chart.
Yeah, take it to the chart. Or I'll say to my kids, like, what can you do? How can you make it work for you? Because this is what we're having. Like so if I have organic ketchup in the refrigerator, my daughter will go for the organic ketchup and I'm just like, I don't, okay, you made it work for you, whatever,
awesome.
So how can you make it work for you? So part of it is just, it's those kinds of things and expectations. Like it's a lot. I don't know if that was helpful, but
no, it's totally helpful. And I think even just giving me permission to be like, this is how we're going to do it is helpful.
Yeah.
Because I can get just like, I don't know that I want to do the struggle. And sometimes I'll get on the kick of like, this is what we're eating, this is what we're doing. And then I get like the feedback and then I'm like, oh, forget it. So it's like, it gives me permission to know that there's like a process that I have to go through to get over there. And that it's totally possible, obviously, because you worked with a lot of families and a lot of moms and they've made the change.
Yeah.
So I think even just that, giving myself even hearing it to give myself permission to do it, is helpful.
Yeah. And kids are, you can't like rock their whole world, like their whole food world at once, right?
No, I get that.
I've done that. It doesn't. No. So it's like about implementing things that you think you can manage, but then holding expectations, for the whole family. But I had a client who 3 teenagers, and my daughter, she's like, my one daughter will never go for this. Like never. She was so like, her vision was never. So we worked on mom's mindset. Like you have to envision your daughter as being resilient and capable of this. Like you have to think differently. You can't say that anymore.
Can't say never.
Yeah. And so I was like maybe 2 months in, I don't even know if it was that long. She was like, oh my gosh, my daughter is like doing the 2 bites every time without complaining, and my daughter is like writing, she sent me a picture of the chart, like where her daughter would put the feedback on the chart. And like, it just started to shift and it was a beautiful thing. But she was like, the mom was like shocked, she was like,
gosh, that's so great. I love that.
So cool.
Oh, you're doing such great work.
Thanks.
Okay. So the next part of this is I'm going to ask you quick questions. So this is in your opinion and the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. Ready? Best way to lose weight.
Eat real food.
Count calories or not?
No.
Dairy or no dairy?
Oh, it's liquid gold or it's white poison. Depends on the quality. Depends on the quality and it depends on the person.
What's liquid gold?
So like grass-fed, 100% grass-fed dairy, that is like really either not pasteurized or low pasteurization. So it's totally nutrient dense. Can be like liquid gold. And some people use it to heal and thrive. And then other people, if you're sensitive to it, dairy and all the stuff at the store, like the skim stuff, the conventional stuff, I say just avoid it.
Okay. Okay. So if you're feeding your kids milk, then get the best quality, most nutritious, creamy, fresh straight from the cow.
Yep. And buy less of it. If you can't, like my boys would drink it all day long, but I buy so much less than I would if I were buying the conventional stuff because it's so much, it's more expensive.
Right. Okay. Most important meal of the day.
Lunch.
Coffee or tea?
Both.
Yay! Woo! Meat or no meat? I know what you're going to say on this one.
I'm big proponent of animal products, but you could do both. It's all about quality.
Okay. Eat before exercising or after?
Mostly after.
Gluten or no gluten?
No.
No gluten.
Not a fan.
Paleo, vegan, vegetarian, or pescatarian?
Oh my gosh. There's like no right one for everybody. Like I'm more paleo.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? And so I'm like a qualitarian. It's like quality.
Oh, I like qualitarian. Oh, I'm putting that down. Qualitarian. That's awesome. Number one most important food to eat. Ooh, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, it depends on where you're at in your life. Sorry. Like kids need a lot of building foods. So that's why I love really good animal products for kids. A lot of their building foods. And then I'm just going to say butter.
Yes, I love butter. Oh my God, I'm so happy you said that.
Butter is so nutritious.
Butter is the best. Best nutrition book on the market.
Grass-fed butter.
Oh, I thought that was the book. Well, that's a good one.
Grass-fed butter.
Okay, best nutrition book on the market.
Oh, the best nutrition book on the market. Wow. This is bad. I don't know. There's so many good ones. I don't even know what to say.
Just pick one. First one that comes to your mind. Doesn't have to be the best. Just a good one.
Okay. One that well, gosh, Shauna, you totally have me stumped on this. Isn't that crazy? Because I've like read.
No, it's not. I'm sure I have you stumped because you probably have so many in your mind.
A million of them. So, okay. So this is a book. I have this book right next to me and it's like,
perfect.
It does have to do with nutrition, but this is a book that I think every woman should read. Woman Code. Have you read it?
No.
And it addresses nutrition for hormonal balance. Like I actually think
is it on the screen? Yeah, there we go.
Every woman should read this book. So right now, this is like one of my favorites. Not that I agree with everything nutritionally, but she taught it's about the power of food in your body and how it impacts your hormones and your health for your lifetime. So that's why I love it.
Awesome. I want to get that book. Is that the book that Christine was reading?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. How do we get in touch with you?
Yeah. So you can find me. There's two places you can find me. One is at angellebatten.com.
Okay. Can you spell that?
Yep. It's ANGELLEBATTEN.com.
Okay.
All right. And then there's information about my coaching, like my one-to-one coaching there and some other work that I do. But my latest endeavor that I'm loving is Nourish to Flourish. So it's nourishtoflourishsociety.com.
Okay.
And that's where I'm working with my colleague, Jill Tanis, and we are helping women learn how to love your life, how to love your body, how to love food, how to create more ease around your relationship with food, and just it's so fun. It's so beautiful.
And that's where the 14-day cleanse is.
Yeah.
And that's coming up soon, right?
Yes.
What's the date and how do we sign up?
Thank you for asking. We have the window. Let's see, the registration window is opening September 7th.
Okay.
And it starts September 18th is when it actually starts.
Mm-hmm.
So we took about 200 women through in the spring,
Mm-hmm.
and it's we're really looking at both like cleaning house physically and emotionally. So it's like the emotional craving stuff, and also really nourishing your body really, really well for 14 days.
So the 17th to when does it end?
So what did I say? So the registration window goes from like the 7th through, I think, the 15th.
Starts on the 17th.
And then it starts on the 18th, actually.
18th and ends on, is that a Monday?
That's a Sunday.
Sunday. And then when does it end?
So, I'm making sure I give you the right information.
Okay.
So we end on the 1st of October.
Which is a Saturday?
Yep. So it's
awesome.
like a Sunday the 18th through Saturday. Yeah.
And that totally works for me because I've been wanting to do your 14-day cleanse. So, and I've been waiting for a time that's not summertime because I feel like I've got something going on all the time. And, it's hard for me, it's hard when I've got something going on and then I'm really looking at my diet and I got to go somewhere. And so I want it to be some time that I have good amount of time where I can focus in on it.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love it. I'd love to have you join us.
I totally want to, because I want to learn how to manage my nutrition,
Yeah. And it's total, for anybody listening who's interested at all, there's an informational page at the nourishtoFlourishSociety.com. It's a total no judgment zone. Like it doesn't matter what you're eating right now when you come into our programs, and we have women that are eating really clean, like you, Shauna, but want to just like take it to the next level and like want to figure out a few things, right? Like I do. Yeah, like we all have things we can figure out or need to, want to figure out. And then we have women that are eating, total standard American diet. And, just this is so brand new. So it's a no judgment zone. And like the private Facebook community is beautiful because it is really, women are just supporting each other and rooting for each other. And I love it. It's just like a great experience.
Oh, I'm going to get my family and friends on board too.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for this. This was so fun.
Gosh, it was
totally
fun.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks so much for asking me to come on with you. I love the work that you do, and I love all the wisdom that you share and everything. And it's really an honor to be able to be here with you. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.